Hey, everybody, welcome to our summer Bible study of God's promises. And as you know, or may not know, God's promises are more than a pinky promise. Pinky promises are not always kept. They're just something done in the spur of the moment when you're trying to make a promise and show it visually. But God's promises are more than that. They are something that we can stand on, that we can know and trust that He keeps His promise. And promise number one that we're going to look at is God's love endures forever. If you're a note taker, you want to get you a journal and a notepad or something to write this down so that not only are you writing it down in a notebook, but you're writing it in your heart. So this week we're focusing in Psalm 136. So if y'all will turn to Psalm 136, that's the Old Testament, kind of in the middle of the Old Testament or the middle of the Bible per se. But we think this was written as like a congregational response. So the reader would read the first and then the congregation would read the second. So I know I can't hear you, but as I read 136 with you, I would love for you to read the response of His love endures forever. But before we do that, I want to go over the word endure. What does the word endure mean? So I looked up in Webster's dictionary, and it says that endure means to never fail or to never run out. So let's stand and learn more about God's promise of His love never fails. His love never runs out. His love endures forever. So let's go to Psalm 136 and let's read what His love endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. And everybody says, His love endures forever. Give thanks to the God of gods. His love endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord of lords. His love endures forever. To Him who alone does great wonders. His love endures forever. Who by His understanding made the heavens. His love endures forever. Who spread out the earth upon the waters. His love endures forever. Who made the great lights. His love endures forever. The sun to govern the day. His love endures forever. And the moon and stars to govern the night. His love endures forever. To Him who struck down their firstborn of Egypt. His love endures forever, and brought Israel out from among them. His love endures forever, with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. His love endures forever. To Him who divided the Red Sea asunder. His love endures forever, and brought Israel through the midst of it. His love endures forever, but swept Pharaoh and his army in the Red Sea. His love endures forever. To Him who led His people through the desert. His love endures forever. Who struck down great kings. His love endures forever. And killed mighty kings. His love endures forever. Shone king of the Amorites. His love endures forever, and the Og king of Bashan. His love endures forever, and gave their land as an inheritance. His love endures forever, an inheritance to His servant Israel. His love endures forever, to the one who remembered us in our low estate. His love endures forever, and freed us from our enemies. His love endures forever, and who gives food to every creature. His love endures forever, and give thanks to the God of heaven. His love endures forever. Now, I kind of took each verse and kind of broke down in my own words what I kind of thought it meant. So I will kind of go over this again this week in my post, but I would like to share it with you. So in verse 1, I feel like verse 1 reminds us that he is a good, good Father, because it says, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. Verse 2 and 3, I think it reminds us that he is the Lord of all, of everything, because it says God of gods and Lord of lords. Verses 4 and 6, it speaks of the heavens and the earth and the waters. He is our creator. That's why his love endures forever. And then 7 through 9, it mentions the light and the darkness and the day and the night, because he created it. And then in verse 10, who struck down the firstborn of Egypt, he fights for us. In verse 11, he brought Israel out from among that. He delivers us. In verse 12, with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, he is strong and mighty and powerful. In verse 13, he divided the Red Sea. He rescues us. In 14, he brought Israel through the midst of this storm. He restores us. In verse 15, he swept Pharaoh and the army in the Red Sea. He saves us from our enemies. In verse 16, he led his people through the desert. He provides for us. In 17 through 20, all of these great kings that he took care of, he protects us. In verse 21, he gave the land as their inheritance. He sustains us, because that land gives back. In verse 22, he gave the inheritance to the servant Israel. That is forever and ever. In 23, it says he's the one who remembered us in a low estate. He remembers us. In 24, he freed us from our enemies. He frees us. In 25, he gives us food. He takes care of us. And 26, give thanks to the God of heaven. We must be thankful, because the Lord, his love, his faithfulness, his mercy, he is good, and it endures forever for us. So don't ever doubt that you are not loved, because this week we are focusing on that number one promise, that his love endures forever, and he does all of this for every one of us because he loves us. Have a great week. I look forward to hearing from you. Please post, share, comment, like in our GroupMe. If you're too shy to share, it's fine, but try to build up courage, because we're here to learn together, and that's the only way we can do it, is do it together. Have a great week.